Welcome to our talk about Paper Forager. This was work done with Tovi and George in the HCI and Visualization Research Group at Autodesk Research, and I'm Justin Matejka. As researchers, we like navel-gazing, that is, doing research about research, or research on problems that we as researchers would like to solve. I'm one of those researchers, and I'm not ashamed to say that this is one of those projects. And one of those things that's of particular interest to us as researchers is literature review. Historically, we've had paper proceedings. With these, it is difficult to find relevant materials, but once you do, it's very easy to transition between scanning through the papers and actually reading them. Additionally, the pictures and layout of an article are visible while flipping through, and they may help you find what you're looking for. And now, of course, we have digital libraries, which greatly improve the process of finding relevant research through text search. However, there's no way for a researcher to use any of the visual qualities of a paper, such as the graphics and layout, to make a decision on whether to actually read that paper. And then to read the paper, we need to download the PDF, which can disrupt your literature review flow. If we break up the stages of the literature review process, you can think of it as having three stages. First, finding, or filtering the collection of all possible papers down to those you might be interested in checking out. Scanning, or making a decision for each individual paper about if it's one that you'd like to look at more. And then reading, or looking through the actual content of the paper for useful information. With physical proceedings, the finding stage is fairly separated from the scanning and reading phases. And then with digital libraries and even advanced faceted search tools, finding and scanning are quite well connected, but those stages are fairly separated from the reading phase. With Paper Forager, we wanted to build a tool that could combine all of these phases together seamlessly. So that's what we did, and this is what Paper Forager looks like. The sample corpus of papers we used to test Paper Forager consists of 3,640 papers from the CHI and UIST conferences. And at startup, the main collection view here shows a very small thumbnail representation of each of those papers. Using the search field, users can search for keywords, author names, or conferences to limit the number of papers shown in that collection view. The results can then be filtered further by adding additional search parameters or adjusting the year and citation count sliders, and sorted by either year of publication or number of citations. The top authors panel over here shows which authors have the most publications within the currently active collection of papers. Hovering over individual papers triggers a large paper tooltip, and clicking on a paper zooms it into Paper View. The Paper View shows all of the pages of a paper at once. Users can flip between papers in the current collection using the arrow keys, and then clicking on an individual page brings that page into focus. The user can flip through individual pages until the end of a paper is reached. In the paper view, the previous and next papers are preloaded, allowing the user to quickly flip between papers. The side panel provides additional information and controls. A badge icon can be clicked to add the paper to the user's list of saved papers. Collections associated to the references and citations of this paper are also displayed to enable following trails through the citation network. From a technical standpoint, this dynamic style of interface relies on pre-processing the papers into very large images, combining all of the pages for a paper into a single image, and then taking that image and creating an image pyramid from it. This image pyramid is based on the same principle that is used with tools like Google Maps, where large images are sliced into different images of different resolutions, and then the correct part and resolution of the image can be loaded quickly as needed. This lets us see the previews for all of the papers in the overview without needing to download the full resolution image for all of the papers. We conducted 2 user studies, a qualitative lab study with 6 participants, and an external deployment with 153 members of the HCI research community. Both groups provided very positive feedback after using the system, and many users expressed interest in continuing to use Paper Forager after the study period was over. Despite the positive feedback, Paper Forager and systems like it have a number of challenges we weren't able to overcome. The first is ever-changing technology. We built Paper Forager in Silverlight, which was great, but that doesn't even exist anymore. So to revive Paper Forager, we need to start from scratch technologically. Next is keeping the system up to date. With new papers getting published all of the time, it's quite an ordeal to process everything to get it into the format Paper Forager needs. And the final issue is the limited number of papers. All of the UIST and CHI papers is a good start, but really for a tool like this, you'd want access to all of the papers, similar to what you'd get from searching in Google Scholar. Making a tool like this work for very, very large collections of papers will be an interesting challenge. That said, we think the idea of a dynamic paper tool like this is pretty interesting, and hopefully this will inspire more tools like this in the future. Thanks!